Hey guys, welcome to day 3 of Fresh Start. So yesterday we got all of our social media cleaned up. We did an influencer cleanse. So we took inventory of how much time we're spending on social, who we are following, how those things are making us feel. So now I want to do an inventory and I want to do a cleanse of our beliefs about ourselves, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of our beliefs that we have are not true, which is really a challenging task, because when we believe something, we think that it is true. That is the definition of a belief, is our perception of the truth. And so it's very difficult to kind of change our minds. But I want you guys to be open to this idea. I want you to take an inventory of what you're believing, especially about yourself, especially about this situation, and really challenge yourself and ask you, do I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, can I prove in the court of law that this is the truth? Because as soon as we find out the truth, then we're totally empowered and we can deal with what we have. But a lot of times, especially the beliefs about ourselves, when we believe that we're not smart enough, we believe we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources, we just have no opportunities. Oh yeah, but that doesn't work for me. We have all kinds of crazy beliefs about ourselves that are just absolutely not true. And they usually come from some kind of a story that we told ourselves when we were little kids, and we've been carrying that story with us. And I like to describe this as updating the hard drive. We got to have updated information for how we go out into the world. And I want you guys to imagine that you are going to go and do a PowerPoint presentation at a speech. You're going to go give a talk and you are going to bring PowerPoint slides. Could you imagine showing up to that presentation with a floppy disk? Could you imagine you got this floppy disk and you have your presentation on that? And you are going out into the world. You are going to go to do this presentation. You hand that over to the presenter to bring up on the laptop. Here's my floppy disk. My presentation's on there. Pull that up. No, absolutely not. That would be incredibly embarrassing. You would have totally outdated information, and that doesn't plug into anything. It doesn't compute across. It just doesn't work. And that's how we go out into the world every day. We have all these beliefs that we've been carrying around since we were 8, 9, 10 years old, and they don't compute with what's going on right now. So no wonder we're feeling anxious, because we're not using up-to-date information, okay? So that is number one in your workbook today, is taking an inventory of what you're believing about yourself that might not actually be true. Okay? And so while it is very difficult to change a belief, it is, because it is something that is programmed in there and we're going to do it automatically. It's a habit. We will be triggered to show up that way. And we can assess that and notice that. But the thing is that it is much easier to overlay an empowering belief that trumps that old belief. It's that kind of belief that, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to figure anything out. No matter what, I can fix anything. I can find the good in anything. All of those I can in any situation. Anything is possible. If anyone can turn this around, it's me. Those are the empowering beliefs that you need to instill in yourself and remind yourself. And when you can truly believe in those, that's when you have faith. That's when you have faith in yourself, you have faith in your abilities. And the thing is that there are two opposites to everything. If there's a hot, there's a cold. If there's light, there's dark. If there's good, there's bad. There is opposites to everything in this world. There really is. And so when we think of fear, which is the exact thoughts that produce anxiety and stress, when we think of fear, we have to be able to cultivate the opposite of that. Everybody talks about, oh, I want to remove fear. I want to remove fear. I want to remove fear. Fear cannot be removed. It needs to be overpowered. Okay, we are a species that looks for fear. We do. And so we will always find it. And removing it out of our lives completely is not a possible situation. So instead of removing the fear, we need to cultivate an opposite response to it that overpowers it. So when we say, oh, yeah, that's my fear, wait a minute, I got something stronger. And then we overpower that. And that is called faith. Okay, and I'm not talking, and you know what, for you, it might be faith in Jesus. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about faith in you and your skills and your ability that you can figure it out. And you know what? So if you want to lean on your religious faith to help you with that, that is incredible. If you want to lean on faith in the universe, that is incredible. But you need to have some really faith instilling beliefs about you. That is how we get through anything. Is we believe and we have faith in the fact that we can get through anything because we're strong, because we're resilient, because in some way we've been here before. We've been worried about our health before. We've lost money before. We have had to stay home sick for 2 weeks before. Maybe I have not had to do that yet, but we have had some capacity. We've been on reading week with our kids before. We've been home for summer break with our kids before. And you know what? This might look a little bit different, but it's just another one of those. And if we can stack other things that have happened in our lives, it doesn't seem so scary because it's just some version of that thing over there that has happened once before, stacked with that thing and that thing. And you know what? We got through that. You know what? I've been there where I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. I didn't know how I was going to pay my mortgage. I've been there. We've been there. And you know, it might have been a long time ago. It might have been back when we were in university. And you know what? If we haven't been right in this instance, before, maybe this is a super humbling experience. Like, I'm just thinking about that. Like, man, I guess for some people that might not actually be true. And if that is true, that's awesome that you get to go through this, because this is going to create some resilience for you. Like, I'm thinking about back when I was like sleeping in my car in university and didn't even know how I was going to buy rice. And this is nothing compared to that. So my brain is a little more developed than the ripe age of 20, so I take it a little bit more seriously. But the thing is that when we think we've never been here before, nobody else has ever done this, we've never lived through this, that is scary. That is scary because we can't put any planning in place at all. But the truth is, when we think, you know what, this is kind of like that, and this worked then, I'm going to try it now, we can have faith in that, and we can have our planning brain take over and do a little bit of proof. Because to start to understand how we can overcome some of the anxieties that we're feeling, we need to understand how the brain works. And feeling anxious produces worry, right? And worry is just a habit-triggered emotion over and over and over. So when we consider how the brain works, the thing is our brain is incredibly intelligent, but it is operated like neurochemically. So it gets rewarded chemically with dopamine when something happens that's good. And so what happens? Oh, fear. Okay, yes, I'm afraid. And so now that's going to trigger me to plan. Okay, so now I'm going to plan, and I'm going to like think about everything that can go wrong. I'm going to think about everything that go right, and I'm going to make a plan, and I'm going to get rewarded for that. Okay, and so like I got rewarded for that cycle. When I saw fear, I was worried, so I planned, and then now I got rewarded because when I made that plan, I felt a little bit better. But just like if you were going to be, planning a trip to the airport's not a really super great example, but what's come to mind. If you had like an itinerary and you checked that twice, that would be good. Okay, I just want to make sure I got, my tickets, my bags, I've got everything packed. You double checked it. That was good. You got another, you worried, you planned, you got rewarded. Okay? And so then, but then maybe you check it again, and you check it again, and you check it again. And so this is like law of diminishing returns. Like the first time you planned, it was good. You got a good reward. Second time you planned, it was okay. Yeah, you got another good reward. Nope, like T's are crossed, I's are dotted, we're good. Third time you even probably got a little bit. But the thing is, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time, we're not getting any return on that anymore. But we've created this habit loop in our brain where it's rewarding us with dopamine because we made this plan and now we're feeling better. And so our brain remembers that. Our brain remembers that cycle, and it starts to create a habit of worrying because it's thinking we're going to get rewarded for it. And so we have this huge law of diminishing returns. But once we understand that, we can overpower that with our logic, and we can overpower that with the feeling in our body of, you know what? When I worry for the fifth, sixth, seventh time, it doesn't feel very good. And I need to shift into something better. I need to shift into something way better than worrying because this isn't producing anything for me. How does it feel when I just consistently make this plan over and over and over? It doesn't feel good. I know I'm like, this is not well. And so then we can shift into something different, and we can say, okay, what's the better thing to go and do right now? So I hope that helps you guys out. And with where we are today, it's a very short exercise, but it's a little bit mentally exhausting, because the thing is that when we're assessing beliefs, we have to really dig deep and we have to really think. And a lot of it comes from when, when you screw up, when you are not feeling ambitious, when you're kind of feeling down. What do you call yourself? What name do you call yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Whose voice is in your head? For me, like, it's my mom and dad's voice. It's like my mom saying, "That's your problem, Bonnie, you just don't think." And like my dad's like body language, because he said very little. But the thing is that was back when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And who I believed I was, and who I believed I was at 8 for my parents, was irresponsible, annoying, not smart, not independent. Like, those are all beliefs that we have. And that's kind of how you can unpack them. Try to figure out what is the most, like, when things go wrong, who do you call yourself and who is it? And whose belief is that at that time, right? Because my parents don't think that of me now, right? But if I didn't go through all of these exercises to do these things, like 2 years ago, I still believed all that. I really did. And so we have to do that. We have to do that, and we have to put it down on paper. So if you don't print out the workbook, please just get out some paper and write it out. Because when we write it, that is our logical brain putting it down on paper, and we're consciously putting it out there. And we're not just throwing a bunch of thoughts around. We daydream all the time. And when we stay in daydream, we don't know the difference between, oh, Bonnie's serious about this, or this is just another waving thought, or whatever. When I write it down, it's like, oh, like this is important, this is real. She's writing this down. She's taking the time to write this down. I need to pay attention. And it is this command on your brain, because you're writing it and you're telling it that this is important. And so, that's why writing affirmations works. Tons of people like joke about how affirmations are retarded, but it's not, and it's just that repetition. It's saying, this is important to me. This is important right now. If you want to believe that you can figure anything out, write it on a piece of paper 100 days in a row, 3 times a day, and you will, because you're telling your brain this is important, and you have to update your programming. So with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow for day 4. I hope this fresh start is going really great and you're starting to unpack some of those things, because we are going to go ahead on a whole new normal now. And we need this. We need all of this stuff out of our way. We need to cleanse our minds. We need to get some of that stuff out of our way so that we can push forward for the new normal. I hope you're all doing well. If you're not, reach out, email me, anything, because I don't want people to struggle. You can absolutely share this with anyone. It is totally free. I just wanted to be able to be out there, be here in some capacity for people during this incredibly difficult time. So please take care of yourselves, and until tomorrow, keep making progress.